Hello, and welcome back to episode 12 of The Human Condition.
Great to be back.
So today we're diving into a feeling you might recognize maybe quite well, actually, even if it's something you don't often, name out loud. It's that persistent sense that life isn't exactly falling apart.
Right. Things are okay, technically.
Exactly. But it doesn't feel like you've quite arrived either. You're sort of caught somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere in the middle. It's not some big crisis, no dramatic failure you can point to.
Yeah.
But there's this, I don't know, this low hum, a quiet weight almost, telling you things aren't quite right, or maybe not what you expected.
That's it, exactly. And we're looking at this through an article called The Weight of Almost. That's our source today.
The very fitting title.
Right. And our mission really is to explore this specific emotional space, to try and understand why this feeling of almost is just so common and what the article says about maybe dealing with it.
Or even just reframing it for yourself, because it does resonate, doesn't it?
It really does.
It hits that spot between the clear wins and, well, the clear losses. That subtle gap between the life you're actually living day to day and the one you maybe pictured in your head.
Yeah.
And like the article mentions, when you feel stuck there, it's so easy for the question to become, okay, what's wrong with me?
Right. You immediately turn it inward. It must be me. I'm not trying hard enough, or I'm missing something.
I'm inadequate somehow.
Yeah. And the article really challenges that instinct.
It does. What I found interesting is how it separates this feeling from, say, just being busy or burnt out. It talks about a different kind of fatigue.
Okay.
Not the exhaustion from having, like, too much on your plate.
Right. The endless to-do list.
Exactly. But the exhaustion from having too much to feel and maybe nowhere for all that feeling to really go.
Yeah. That phrase from the piece, the tired that sleep can't fix, that really nails it.
It does.
You're functional, you're going through the motions, but underneath.
Yeah, you feel like you're just wearing thin, kind of slipping away from yourself a bit. And that leads to a really interesting challenge the article poses. It questions this assumption we often have.
Which is?
Well, that if we just try harder, think clearer, process things better, eventually we'll get to a place where it all just makes sense. Perfectly logical.
No. And the article asks if that's even the right goal, seeking that kind of neat, tidy sense.
Exactly. Maybe being human, it suggests, is actually about living with a certain amount of, well, open-endedness, holding questions without needing perfect, immediate answers.
Which pushes against that constant pressure we feel to always be getting better or moving forward.
Right. If you connect that back to the almost feeling, maybe part of that weight is just us resisting that uncertainty, feeling like we should have it all figured out by now.
Better at what, though? That's what the article asks. Better at healing on schedule. Better at pretending the past isn't still, present.
Yeah.
What really stood out for me, though, was this idea of bravery it brings up.
Okay.
But not the big, flashy kind. Not heroic saving the day stuff. It's described as this quiet, persistent bravery.
How so?
It's found in just staying, choosing to be present in a day that feels kind of drained of meaning, just because you committed to being here.
Ah, okay. It's the bravery in, like, making dinner when you feel totally empty.
Yes. Or texting someone back when you feel like a ghost. Or just showing up to work when you feel completely adrift.
Those small things,
Well,
almost invisible.
but the article doesn't dismiss them. It reframes them as these really profound choices.
Choices not to just walk away from yourself, from your life, even when it feels heavy or pointless.
It's quite a perspective shift, isn't it?
It really is. And that leads to maybe the core insight here, that this pervasive feeling of almost, maybe it isn't a sign of failure at all.
It's not inadequacy.
No, but maybe it's proof of continuation.
Like a sign that even with the weight, even without that clear sense of arrival, life is still going. Your heart is still trying.
Exactly. And if you see it that way, feeling behind or broken might not be about you being flawed.
But just the experience of being honest enough to stop and actually notice how hard it can be. The quiet weight of just existing as a person.
Yeah. Just noticing the difficulty inherent in it all.
So wrapping this up, the main takeaway from our deep dive into the weight of almost. It seems to be this quite challenging but maybe liberating idea.
That feeling almost there isn't necessarily you falling short.
Right. But maybe it's proof that you're actually continuing. You're still in it.
And that quiet act of staying, of not abandoning ship when things feel meaningless,
Yeah.
that's maybe the deepest bravery there is, like the article suggests.
Yeah. So the article leaves us, and you, with this final thought to chew on. Maybe just being honest enough to notice how heavy it all feels
How
sometimes.
much that almost weighs.
Maybe that noticing in itself is what matters most, something to think about perhaps in your own experience.